Did you know that while you're watching this video, dozens of older adults will be told they have dementia? In the US alone, one new case is diagnosed every 65 seconds. But here's the shocking part. What if dementia isn't always just bad luck or natural aging? What if part of the problem is sitting quietly in your medicine cabinet? We've been led to believe that the prescriptions and over-the-counter pills we take are safe, routine, and even life-saving. Yet new research is pointing toward an alarming truth. Certain common medications may actually speed up memory loss, shrink key brain regions, and raise the risk of dementia in unsuspecting seniors. In fact, recent studies have shown that some drugs can increase dementia risk by nearly 50% within just a few years of use. And what's worse, the pharmaceutical industry has known about many of these risks for decades. Tonight, we're going to reveal the 9 most dangerous medications that accelerate memory loss and dementia, ranking them from commonly ignored to devastatingly destructive. And wait until we get to number 3. It's prescribed to millions of people for something relatively harmless, yet evidence shows it may damage the very part of the brain responsible for forming new memories. But before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. What medications do you or your loved ones take on a daily basis? Have you noticed brain fog, sudden forgetfulness, or changes in attention since starting them? Drop your experience in the comments. We read every single one, and sometimes just sharing your story helps others recognize the warning signs they've been missing. Alright, let's begin our countdown with medication number 9. A pill you probably have in your house right now. Medication number 9, Diphenhydramine, Benadryl, and other PM products. That familiar pink tablet people take to help them sleep, calm allergies, or relieve cold symptoms. This diphenhydramine, better known as Benadryl, because it's available over the counter, millions assume it's harmless. But here's what's rarely discussed. Diphenhydramine belongs to a class of drugs called anticholinergics. These block acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter your brain depends on for memory formation and alertness. As we age, the natural supply of acetylcholine declines, which is one reason older adults may already feel mentally slower. So when a drug further interferes with this chemical, the result can be devastating. In fact, a 2023 study in the Journal of Geriatric Cognitive Health found that older adults who regularly used anticholinergic medications had a 54% greater risk of developing dementia compared to those who did not. The scary part? Diphenhydramine is hiding in plain sight. Anything labeled as PM, nighttime, or allergy relief often contains it. Even if it's not sold under the name Benadryl, you might think you're just taking a simple sleep aid, when in reality you could be chipping away at your brain's memory center, the hippocampus. So what's the alternative? If you're using diphenhydramine for allergies, talk with your doctor about newer, non-sedating antihistamines like loratadine, Claritin, or cetirizine, Zyrtec. These do not cross the blood-brain barrier as easily and are far less likely to cause memory problems. For sleep, consider non-drug approaches first, like adjusting your evening routine, managing caffeine intake, or using melatonin, which doesn't carry the same cognitive risks. Remember, just because a drug is sold without a prescription doesn't mean it's safe for daily use, especially in seniors. Medication number 8, Proton Pump Inhibitors, PPIs, Prilosec, Nexium, Prevacid. Next up is a group of drugs taken by millions for heartburn, GERD, and acid reflux. Proton Pump Inhibitors, or PPIs. You'll recognize them by brand names like Prilosec, Nexium, and Prevacid. At first glance, they seem like miracle pills. Take one, and the burning in your chest disappears. Many seniors end up staying on them for years, even decades. But long-term use comes at a hidden cost. By drastically reducing stomach acid, PPIs interfere with the body's ability to absorb vitamin B12, a nutrient absolutely critical for brain health, focus, and mood stability. Without adequate B12, neurons struggle to communicate, leading to confusion, memory lapses, and even mood swings that mimic early Alzheimer's symptoms. And the problem doesn't stop there. PPIs can also block the absorption of magnesium and calcium, which play essential roles in neural signaling. On top of that, studies have shown PPIs may actually increase the buildup of amyloid beta plaques, the toxic proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease. In a large 2016 study published in JAMA Neurology, seniors who regularly used PPIs had a 44% higher risk of dementia compared to non-users. That's nearly 1 in 2. So what can you do? If you're relying on PPIs every day, ask your doctor about alternatives. H2 blockers such as famotidine, Pepcid, are less likely to harm cognition. And don't overlook natural options. Some people find relief by chewing deglys-ricinated licorice or adjusting their diet to avoid trigger foods. While these aren't perfect solutions, they can reduce reliance on PPIs and protect your brain at the same time. Medication number 7, bladder control drugs, oxybutynin and similar medications. Coming in at number 7 are bladder control medications, most notably oxybutynin, sold under the brand name Ditropan. These drugs are often prescribed for seniors dealing with overactive bladder or urinary incontinence. On the surface, they appear practical. After all, no one wants to deal with the constant urge to rush to the bathroom. But here's the hidden danger. Oxybutynin is also a powerful anticholinergic drug. Unlike milder medications, it crosses the blood-brain barrier with ease and directly interferes with acetylcholine in the hippocampus, the memory hub of your brain. The results can be catastrophic. A 2019 study in the BMJ found that people over 65 who took strong anticholinergic medications like oxybutynin for more than a year had a 49% greater risk of developing dementia. That's nearly half of all users. What makes this worse is how often the side effects go unnoticed. Patients report feeling foggy, losing track of conversations, or misplacing items more frequently. Doctors often chalk this up to normal aging, when in reality the drug is silently damaging the brain. The good news? Safer alternatives exist. Medications like mirabegron, Myrbetriq work through a different pathway and are far less likely to affect memory. Lifestyle strategies like bladder training, fluid timing, and pelvic floor therapy can also help reduce symptoms without damaging your cognition. We've covered 3 medications so far: diphenhydramine, PPIs, and bladder control drugs, all of which are common, often considered harmless, yet pose real risks to memory and brain health. And this is only the beginning. In the next section, we'll dive into medications that millions take every single day for heart health, anxiety, sleep, and mood. These drugs are even more insidious because they're widely prescribed, heavily marketed, and rarely come with a warning label about dementia. Stick around, because when we reach number 3, you'll see why even modern antidepressants may not be as safe for seniors as you think. We've already seen how everyday pills for allergies, sleep, heartburn, and bladder control can quietly erode memory. But the next medications on our list are even more concerning. They're some of the most prescribed drugs in the world. Millions of seniors take them daily, often with the belief they're protecting their health. Yet research shows they may be slowly robbing the brain of clarity, focus, and resilience. Let's keep the countdown going with medication number 6. Medication number 6, statins, cholesterol-lowering drugs. Statins are among the most commonly prescribed drugs worldwide. If you're over 60, there's a good chance you or someone you love has been told to take one. Names like simvastatin, Zocor, or atorvastatin, Lipitor dominate pharmacy shelves. Their purpose? Lowering cholesterol to reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. But here's what's often left out of the conversation. Cholesterol isn't just a bad guy. It's also a fundamental building block of the brain. In fact, nearly 60% of your brain is made of fat, and cholesterol is essential for maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective coating around nerve fibers that allows signals to travel quickly and efficiently. When cholesterol levels are aggressively reduced, the brain may be starved of the very substance it needs to keep neurons firing smoothly. A 2023 study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that seniors over 70 who had been on statins for more than 3 years had a 26% higher risk of mild cognitive impairment. Those on high doses were especially vulnerable, reporting episodes of confusion, disorientation, and even sudden memory lapses. The good news is not all statins are created equal. Some, like Prevacid and rosuvastatin, don't cross the blood-brain barrier as easily and appear less risky in terms of cognitive effects. If you've noticed increased forgetfulness, brain fog, or trouble recalling names after years on a statin, it may not just be aging, it could be your medication. This doesn't mean statins should be abandoned altogether. For many people, they truly do prevent life-threatening cardiovascular events. But it does mean you should have an informed conversation with your doctor about whether a lower dose, a different type of statin, or additional lifestyle measures might help protect your brain without sacrificing heart health. Medication number 5, benzodiazepines, Valium, Ativan, Xanax. Next on our list are medications prescribed for anxiety and sleep, benzodiazepines. Names like lorazepam, Ativan, diazepam, Valium, and alprazolam, Xanax, are widely recognized and often described as lifesavers for people struggling with panic, insomnia, or overwhelming stress. These drugs work by enhancing the effect of GABA, a neurotransmitter that calms brain activity. At first, the effect feels like relief. Racing thoughts slow, panic subsides, sleep finally comes. But over time, this sedation takes a heavy toll on cognition. A 2022 study published in the BMJ tracked more than 8,000 older adults over 6 years. Those who had used benzodiazepines for longer than 3 months had a 51% increased risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. The risk was even higher for long-acting forms like diazepam, which accumulate in the body and seep into fatty tissues, including the brain. Patients often describe the experience as a kind of mental fog. They may feel dulled, detached, or unable to absorb new information. And when they try to stop, the withdrawal symptoms, anxiety, agitation, and insomnia, can be so severe that the drug feels impossible to give up. This cycle can trap seniors into long-term use, even when it's damaging their memory. The solution: never stop benzodiazepines suddenly, as this can be dangerous. Instead, tapering under medical supervision is key. Non-drug strategies such as cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, or anxiety management have shown strong results without cognitive harm. For those who need medication, alternatives like buspirone provide anti-anxiety benefits without sedation or memory loss. Medication number 4, Amitriptyline, Elavil. At number 4 is an older antidepressant that continues to be prescribed today, Amitriptyline, often known by the brand name Elavil. Though originally developed for depression, it's now often given for nerve pain, migraines, or insomnia. On the surface, it seems versatile. But beneath the surface, it's one of the strongest anticholinergic drugs still in use. And that's where the problem lies. As we've already seen with Benadryl and bladder control drugs, anticholinergics block acetylcholine, the chemical messenger your brain relies on for memory and attention. Amitriptyline does this powerfully and consistently. In a massive 2015 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine, researchers followed more than 3,400 adults aged 65 and older. They found that those with high cumulative exposure to anticholinergic medications, especially amitriptyline, had a 54% greater risk of developing dementia over a 10-year period. That's more than half again the normal risk. What makes this medication particularly concerning is that the decline it causes is subtle and slow. Many patients start taking it for sleep or nerve pain, then gradually notice short-term memory problems, difficulty finding words, or mental sluggishness. It often gets dismissed as just aging, when in reality, it's drug-induced cognitive impairment. Fortunately, alternatives exist. For nerve pain, options like duloxetine or gabapentin may be safer. For sleep, melatonin or very low-dose doxepin, which has a milder anticholinergic effect, can be effective. And for mood, newer antidepressants like sertraline or escitalopram are generally better tolerated by older adults. The key is awareness. Too often, seniors are never told about the long-term cognitive risks of these medications. They're simply handed the prescription. But once you know, you can take proactive steps to protect your memory. We've now reached the halfway point of our list, covering medications number 9 through number 4. Each of these, Benadryl, PPIs, bladder drugs, statins, benzodiazepines, and amitriptyline, represents a major hidden threat to brain health, often disguised as harmless or even essential. But what comes next may be even more alarming. In Part 3, we'll uncover the top 3 medications most strongly linked to dementia, including one modern antidepressant you probably thought was safe, one class of drugs often given off-label to seniors in nursing homes, and finally, the number one hidden risk that doesn't come from a single pill at all, but from a dangerous combination that doctors rarely explain. Stay with us because the final three could completely change how you think about your medications. We've reached the top 3 medications most strongly linked to memory loss and dementia. What you're about to hear may be the most shocking of all, because these drugs are often prescribed with good intentions to ease anxiety, stabilize mood, or calm difficult behaviors in seniors. But the reality is far darker. Let's continue with medication number 3. Medication number 3, Paroxetine, Paxil. At first glance, Paroxetine or Paxil looks like a modern antidepressant, part of the SSRI family that's supposed to be gentler than older drugs like Amitriptyline. Millions of seniors are prescribed it for depression and anxiety, and many believe it's one of the safer options. But here's the hidden truth. Paroxetine is the only SSRI with strong anticholinergic effects. In other words, it interferes with acetylcholine, the same brain chemical vital for memory and learning. This sets it apart from other SSRIs, which generally do not have this risk. A large 2021 review in Frontiers in Psychiatry examined the cognitive profiles of elderly patients taking different SSRIs. The findings? Seniors on paroxetine showed measurable declines in short-term memory, verbal recall, and attention within just 12 months. Compared to patients on other antidepressants like sertraline or escitalopram, those on paroxetine were 30% more likely to develop early signs of cognitive impairment. The irony is staggering. A drug meant to stabilize mood ends up undermining clarity of thought and emotional resilience. The good news is that safer alternatives exist. The American Geriatric Society has placed paroxetine on its Beers criteria list medications deemed inappropriate for older adults. If you or a loved one is taking paroxetine, ask your doctor about switching to safer options such as sertraline, Zoloft, or escitalopram, Lexapro. Supporting brain health with B vitamins, especially B12 and B6, may also help protect memory during the transition. Medication number 2, antipsychotics, Seroquel, Risperdal, Zyprexa. Number 2 on our list is one of the most alarming. These are drugs originally designed for severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. But today, they're often prescribed off-label to seniors for problems like agitation, sleep issues, or behavioral changes related to dementia itself. Common names include quetiapine, Seroquel, risperidone, Risperdal, and olanzapine, Zyprexa. At first, these medications can seem to calm difficult behaviors, but the cost is devastating. In 2022, the Lancet Healthy Longevity published a large study following over 25,000 older adults. Seniors prescribed antipsychotics for behavioral symptoms were 71% more likely to experience accelerated cognitive decline within 12 months, even if they had no prior dementia diagnosis. Beyond memory loss, these drugs also increase the risk of stroke, sudden death, and severe sedation that leads to falls and hospitalizations. The mechanism is straightforward but brutal. Antipsychotics suppress dopamine, a neurotransmitter not only tied to mood and motivation but also crucial for executive function and memory. When dopamine levels crash, the brain becomes sluggish, unresponsive, and emotionally flat. Families often describe their loved ones as zombified, watching personalities fade away while the body remains. So what's the solution? First, always ask why an antipsychotic is being prescribed. In many cases, non-drug interventions like structured routines, calming environments, pain management, or improved sleep hygiene can be just as effective without destroying memory. When medication is absolutely necessary, lower doses and shorter durations are critical to reduce harm. Medication number 1, anticholinergic polypharmacy, the hidden combination effect. And finally, we arrive at the number 1 hidden danger. It's not a single drug. It's the stacking of multiple medications with anticholinergic effects at the same time. This phenomenon is called anticholinergic polypharmacy, and it may be the single greatest medication-related threat to senior brain health. Imagine this scenario. A senior takes diphenhydramine, Benadryl, at night, oxybutynin for bladder control, and amitriptyline for nerve pain. Each drug alone might cause mild memory problems. But together, the cumulative burden skyrockets. The brain is hit from multiple angles, choking off acetylcholine so completely that neurons begin to wither and communication between brain cells collapses. A 2022 study in Age and Aging tracked over 280,000 older adults. Those with the highest anticholinergic burden had a 120% greater risk of developing dementia within 10 years. That's more than double the risk, and most patients had no idea their medications were interacting this way. The tragedy is that this kind of dementia is often mistaken for normal aging. But the hope is equally powerful. Drug-induced dementia can sometimes be reversed. When the anticholinergic load is reduced, through careful deprescribing, tapering unnecessary medications, and switching to safer alternatives, many seniors regain clarity, focus, and even parts of their memory within weeks or months. The solution starts with a medication review. Sit down with your doctor or pharmacist and go over every pill, prescriptions, over-the-counter meds, and even supplements. Ask specifically about the anticholinergic burden. There are tools and software that can calculate the risk and help identify safer paths forward. There you have it, the 9 most dangerous medications linked to rapid memory loss and dementia in seniors. From over-the-counter sleep aids to commonly prescribed antidepressants, from statins to antipsychotics, these drugs are silently accelerating cognitive decline in millions of people. But this isn't a message of hopelessness. It's a call to action. Dementia caused by medications is often preventable, and sometimes even reversible. Awareness is the first step. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these medications are you or your loved ones currently taking? Have you noticed brain fog, confusion, or forgetfulness since starting them? And most importantly, will you commit to talking with your doctor this week about reviewing your medication list? Your story could save not just your mind, but someone else's as well. Leave your experiences in the comments, we read every one. And if this video helped you, share it with a friend or family member who might also be at risk. Protecting your brain starts with knowledge, and knowledge shared is power multiplied. Thank you for watching, and take care of your mind. It's the one place you'll always live.